Hello everyone, my name is George Farmer and I'm here today at Aquarium Gardens and I'm going to talk about the importance of hardscaping. So it's going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to talk about choosing hardscape and the pros and cons of different hardscapes, and then the second part is going to be how we actually use the hardscape in the aquascape itself. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, so what is hardscape? Well, hardscape is another name for aquarium decoration, and in aquascaping we generally use two types, wood and rocks. So why is hardscape important? Well, hardscape forms the backbone of the aquascape, if you like. So if you compare it to a human being has a skeleton, and then the flesh and the muscles form onto that skeleton to form the whole body. Well, that's a little bit like an aquascape. So the wood and the rocks, or the wood only or the rocks only, depending on the style of aquascape you're creating, that forms like the skeleton or the backbone, and then you either attach plants or you have plants buried in the soil around the hardscape just to create this whole aquascape. And so it's really important to get the hardscape right and spend a lot of time and potentially money as well selecting the right hardscape and investing in not only in the hardscape itself in terms of buying it or finding it, but also in time. You know, it's a really good idea to have a really good practice with hardscape, and that's why we have something like this in Dave's shop in Aquarium Gardens. It's a really good area just to have a play with. So before you buy your hardscape, you know it's going to fit your tank. This, for instance, is 90 centimetres long and 45 centimetres deep. So you could potentially mark off areas if you've got a smaller aquarium and just have a really good play. Aquarium Gardens got such a wide selection of different hardscapes, which we'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, you know, it's a really good idea to have a play, and you can do this sort of thing at home. You can use your empty tank if you like, or you can even create your own just small area to play with. But like I say, really important to get the hardscape right. Okay, so before we look at the different hardscaping materials we have on hand here, I'm just going to go through a few common mistakes that beginners might make, and hopefully you won't make the same mistakes. So I would say the number one mistake beginners in particular make is not having enough hardscape. So I often see quite large aquariums with just either small rocks or small pieces of wood, and they're totally drowned out by the size of the aquarium. They're overwhelmed, all this empty open space, it doesn't look very attractive. So I often say more is more with hardscape. Buy more than you need, buy bigger than you think you need, have a play if you've got an area like this to have a play with to ensure that it fits your aquarium, and just don't be afraid just to hoard it. If you've got space in your home or your garden to hoard hardscape, then that's definitely something you should consider doing if you want to get into aquascaping. Okay, so mistake number two beginners might make is mixing inappropriate types of hardscape. So they might have a smooth sort of off-white pebble, large pebble, and then they might mix it with like a I don't know, something like this, some dragon stone. You know, that doesn't complement the white pebble at all. It's a real, you know, contrast, and it's very unlikely that the aquascape will look effective and natural. So if you're using one type of hardscape, then stick to that one type, I would say, especially for beginners. The same with wood. So let's say you're using Mapani wood, which is quite popular. So you'd use that maybe, but then you wouldn't want to be mixing it with, say, you know, something like that. And mistake number three, I would say, is just rushing into the hardscape, not really giving much thought to where you're placing it or how you're placing it. I've seen quite a few aquascapes with just a large rock right in the centre of an aquarium, which doesn't look very natural, or one rock here, one rock there, and they look too symmetrical. So that is probably the third most common mistake I see. Okay, so now I'm just going to talk about the different hardscape materials we have on offer here at Aquarium Gardens. So probably the two most popular we have are Redmore Wood. We've got two pieces here. It's a very, very popular type of wood in the UK and the US and Europe as well, and it's characterised by these long spindly branches. They're quite complex, overlapping each other, and it's very popular for good reason. It's quite interesting. There's lots of things to look at. It's not like just one block of, you know, big driftwood, and it presents lots of opportunities to attach mosses, attach rheophyte plants such as Anubias, Java fern. I'm really lazy when I attach my plants. I just like to sort of wedge them into the gaps, so you can see there's a nice gap there. So yeah, it's a beautiful type of wood. Usually does require a bit of pre-soaking if you want it to sink right away. So don't do what I've done before. Put your wood in your aquarium, do all the hardscape and all your planting, fill up with water, and then your wood floats. So it's really important to give your wood a good pre-soak. It can leach tannins, but it's not one of the biggest tannin leachers out there. If that is an issue for you, then just pre-soak it for a good while. And if you're getting tannin leaching in your water afterwards in your aquarium, then you can use some carbon filtration and just lots of water changes. So really popular. This piece would probably cost between £15 and £20, so good value. It does actually change colour after a while. This is quite a pale, this has never been in an aquarium before. This one has, and you can see it's changed colour slightly. It does go a lot darker once it's saturated with water, so bear that in mind as well. Okay, another really popular type of wood, become popular in the last sort of 5 years or so, is manzanita wood, like small branches, loads of areas to attach mosses onto, and you can create really kind of interesting, natural looking hardscape layouts with manzanita wood. It will definitely float, so you will need to pre-soak it. Minimal tannin leaching, as with most woods, so you might get a little bit of fungal build up on it, but once you've cleaned that off, it's harmless. Once you've cleaned it off once, it very rarely comes back, so don't worry too much about any fungal growth. But yeah, again, a beautiful aquascaping material, quite a soft wood. It can, over sort of 6 months or a year or so, go really soft, and you can actually kind of scrape it away, so just be careful when you're handling it. But yeah, it's a really lovely material to work with. This piece would cost approximately £15. We'll look at another type of wood. This is called Sumatra wood, supplied by Unipack. This is a really, really cool type of wood. I've used it for years. It comes in different sizes. I think this is a medium. Yes, this is a medium size, and retails for £11.99, so it's good value. And it's kind of almost like a cross between manzanita and Redmore, if you like. It's different in terms of its texture. The other woods had quite sort of flat surfaces, if you like, to their branches, where this has got lots of knots, lots of areas where the small branches have been broken off. It actually gives it kind of like a really gnarly kind of appearance, quite a natural appearance, kind of more suited to sort of like an old school nature aquarium layout, if you like. Again, lots of opportunity to attach plants, lots of crossover of branches, etc. Can actually sink straight away. Depends, you know, it's sort of hit and miss, but definitely do pre-soak it if you can, just to make sure it does sink. Minimal tannin leaching, but again, if it does leach tannins, you can do partial water changes or filter with carbon. So again, beautiful wood to work with. I've used it for years. It's one of my favourites. And as I say, you can get nano pieces up to really big pieces, so very versatile. Okay, next type of wood is your classic bogwood. Dave's got some huge pieces. This is actually not the biggest. He's got pieces kind of up here for really giant tanks. I've created some beautiful biotopes with this type of wood, and it does leach mega amounts of tannins, so do bear that in mind. If you want a crystal clear aquarium, then you might want to use a different type of wood. But if you want a black water setup, you know, set up a biotope for a natural habitat kind of layout, then this is perfect. This piece in particular is ideal for fitting in a corner of an aquarium. It's been literally sawn off at one end, and then it's got a very flat surface the other, so that would be perfect for fitting in your corner. Maybe you get another one the other side, and you can create some really stunning layouts with this type of wood. Again, it's got lots of areas for attaching plants as well. It's quite flat on the surfaces, but if you look down there, you could probably see, you know, lots of crevices. You could put ferns, mosses, maybe some anubias there if you wanted to. But yeah, good value as well. It's a big bit of wood. This costs £20 roughly, give or take. So yeah, another great piece of wood, and suitable definitely for kind of biotope style aquascaping. Okay, really popular with aquascapers these days is creating underwater forests. There's a couple of good products here for that. This is Tantora driftwood, which has basically been taken from a bush by the look of it. Got loads and loads of different individual branches which you can tie moss onto and create an effective looking kind of tree effect. And then we have an actual sort of mini bonsai tree, if you like, which are very intricate, lots of detail on there, and again perfect for creating that underwater tree. They both will need pre-soaking to sink. So do bear that in mind. Again, any tannin leaching you can deal with, no problem, like I explained earlier. But yeah, really popular, available in different sizes again. Okay, I'll talk about the most popular seller of rock now, and that's called mini landscape rock. Some of you may know it as Sirius stone or grey pillar stone, but it's the same product, comes from the same supplier. And it's really popular for good reason. you know, it just looks really natural. It's got lots of interest, it's got lots of gouges in it, lots of opportunity again to attach mosses if you wanted to, or even small anubias, things like that. And it's just a classic aquascaping stone. It just reminds people of maybe mountains or seascapes. It's just really easy to create an effective, natural looking nature aquarium quite quickly. Very popular with iwagumi, which is a aquascaping form based on rocks only. I've done quite a few using Siriu stone or mini landscape rock. It is basically limestone, so it will potentially increase your pH and hardness in your aquarium. That can be offset if you're using a soil-based substrate. Okay, so we've got some dragonstone here. This is a really popular type of aquascaping stone, characterised by these cut-out holes, if you like. It's kind of like a compressed kind of clay type of rock. It does chip off very easily, so be careful when you're handling it. It does have sharp edges, and it is usually full up with like a loose clay, so do bear that in mind. It's really a good idea to pressure wash it, or at least give it a good scrub before you put it in your aquarium, because otherwise it will cloud the water quite significantly. It doesn't tend to influence the water chemistry at all, but yeah, very good rock to use. Popular in iwagumis again. You can get some huge pieces and again some really small pieces. You can even crush, make your own sizes by using a hammer and chisel. But yeah, a beautiful rock. Okay, another popular stone, maple leaf rock. It's almost like, looks like sort of spider web kind of texture on it. Really intricate textures. There's some quite interesting pieces actually if you wanted to create an iwagumi, or it's quite popular with using beneath some wood as like a base around the wood. Again, give it a good pre-rinse before you use it in your aquascape. It does tend to trap a lot of debris and dirt in between these kind of spider webs, if you like. It has beautiful white veins running through, which add extra interest. Okay, this is called glimmer rock, also known as woodstone, and it has a very distinct vertical strata or horizontal strata, obviously depending on how you position it. A very popular type of aquascaping with it is to actually create mountains, and if you actually get numerous stones and join them together, do you want to just pass me a sort of something similar size to that one if you can? Yeah. And then what you can do is deliberately join them together. You might have to overlap them slightly, but if you imagine a few of them together and then smaller ones going over to the right hand side, you can create really effective looking mountains, and that's really popular with sort of diorama style aquascaping, which is actually trying to shrink a landscape scene and have that in your aquarium. So mountainscaping is ideal for that. Okay guys, so that wraps it up for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about hardscaping. The next video, which will come out next week, will be actually how we use the hardscape in an aquarium setup. So we'll be using this dry scaping area and coming out with some different layouts. We'll make some deliberate mistakes of what not to do, and then hopefully we'll correct them and show you how to do it properly. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and keep on scaping and please subscribe. Cheers, bye bye.